Now, those joining us for the news review this morning, we have Nanaya Sapong, who is from the Movement for Change, and we have the Member of Parliament for Karachi East, Mr. Kofi Nelson Jabab. Welcome to the program, sir.
Yeah.
Nanaya, welcome.
Thank you.
Two gentlemen, and I'm the only lady.
Yes.
Love it. So let's get your quick reflections on national issues, anything topical right now before we get into the newspapers. There are a lot of papers today, a lot of stories to dissect. So I'll start with you, Nanaya Sapong.
The news week, so.
Yeah, it's a news week.
Thank you very much, and good morning to your cherished viewers. My take would be on personal security. I think that there is a need for us to educate ourselves on personal security and taking personal security serious. I say this on the back of a reel I've seen on social media, and I think the day before yesterday and yesterday, that a young man accidentally shot the girlfriend playing with a firearm, and this has been occurring.
The Bono,
yes, the Bono, the Pru, or is it EAG area?
Yeah, Pru East.
I think
EAG, yeah.
I think that our security services and the NCC and the other agencies that can help public education on personal security ought to be able to take this up. It's happening too many times within a very short period. And it's the firearms ones that we hear, but that of the sharp edges, the knives, and funeral stuff that happen, and the cars, the reckless driving and other things. We should be able to educate ourselves. I mean, was it last week or this weekend they had this whole week in the University of Ghana, and if you look at the number of accidents that had occurred, the injuries on these young students, then you know that we are not taking personal security serious. We should discuss it as a nation, and we should be able to push our agencies to help us.
It's a serious recipe for danger, because these arms are not registered.
Yes.
Well, I think that just like financial literacy, personal security, there are so many things that we leave to chance. We're not intentional about teaching the young people about how they can take care of themselves, like you're mentioning. I think that personal finance too is a big one. Nobody teaches you how to be financially literate, They just assume that once you grow up,
you should learn, adulthood is a scam.
You grow up and you find out. But elsewhere, there are so many other countries, mostly in the western side, where they teach them these things. They teach them about about financial literacy. Even before they get to high school, they have a fair idea already saving with piggy banks and the rest.
Beyond that, even picking the course you would want to do, the program you want to do.
It's a proper orientation.
Right from home to the school.
Have counselors. There should be proper orientation. We should be groomed. Public health, we pushed to an extent now. Public health has become something that we are into, but the rest of those petty ones, the personal security savings, as you're saying, the programs you would want to read, because the world is revolving, and we should be able to reorient our minds on the choices of programs we would want to study and all of that. And,
Thank you, Nanaya. So, Mr. Jabab, what are you sharing with us this morning?
Thank you, Siri. This is a very big platform, of course, Doing News. First and foremost, I would like to thank your viewers across length and breadth, especially the good people of Karachi East this morning. I know they are watching me. I greet them and I love them all. First of it all, I know a lot have added their voice, a lot have appealed, especially the Minister of Health, to the nurses and midwives. I would also like to use this platform to appeal to them. The leadership. I mean, every nurse, every midwife, their lives are precious. Life is very important in all that we do. And their service is to save lives. We know sometimes governments might have not met their concerns. And strikes sometimes do not solve your problem. Strikes are like war. Nobody has fought war and achieved his or her aim. You go at the end, you regret, I regret. Then we come to, a round table. So leadership is calling for a roundtable discussion, and we appeal to them. They should come back, they should resume work, so that lives will be safe. Thank you.
Welcome. We know that there was a crunch meeting last night, and we will be speaking to the leadership of the nurses and midwives to understand the fallout and the way forward. But just taking a cue from what you said, I think we should stop the blame game or denigrating what they're trying to do, because at the end of the day, you're fighting for what to do them. I was reading this morning that the Chief Executive Officer of Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, George Smith Graham, is rather blaming the GRNMA that it is internal wrangling among them. That is why this delay is happening, and that even the contract expires next year. And so it doesn't make much sense that they would want it to be implemented right now when it will be expired next year.
Was he blaming them? He wasn't blaming them.
This is not the time to be doing this. You just anger them more, and then what if they decide
I understand where Sweetie is coming from.
Yeah.
But you see, Sweetie, we have to call a spade a spade.
A spade.
When you are making a demand, you make a realistic demand.
Are you saying the demands are not realistic?
No, you are due it. Nobody, the whole country, everybody acknowledges the fact that what they are demanding, indeed, they deserve it. All right? Yes, of course, if you are climbing up a story building and you want to be paid an allowance for climbing up a story building, of course, you understand. Let's make realistic demands. The economy was so bad. You get it?
Yeah.
Now the economy is beginning to recover. When you are recovering, you do not immediately begin to spend and want to go back into the ditch. So you'd come, these are our demands. But as patriotic as we are, all right, A, B, C, D are our priorities. Let us look at them first. Then we take them pace by pace. Indeed, when the collective agreement was signed somewhere last year, May, the implementation was supposed to have taken effect. What caused the delay? It was an internal wrangling. It is a factor. We can't run away from it. Now we are where we are today. Government is formed. You understand me? Now they are demanding that it be implemented. The economy is bad. Everybody in this country understands that this economy is now recovering. You don't immediately want to burden yourself when you are recovering. It is not that.
Healthcare
they
should be prioritized.
Of course.
Which is why we are seeing a lot of changes with national health insurance.
Of course. Even you see with the insurances, I was even suggesting.
So how do
no one is disputing that.
How do you go?
No one is disputing that. What he's saying is that
it is their fault that we are.
No, I'm not saying
it's their fault.
You just said that it's their
No, don't misconstrue him.
They are one of the factors. Of course, Sweetie. Let's be honest with ourselves.
And what I'm saying is we are here now.
We are not blaming
It's no longer about
anybody.
the blame game.
It's not a blame game.
no longer about who did
but
what,
see,
who's the reason why we are here. It's about how do we move forward.
We ought to be able to speak truth to authority. You understand me? As much as we are speaking truth to authority and we are telling government, listen, sit down and do something about it, we should be able to tell our nurses that, listen, let's be realistic.
Okay.
Let's be real.
Okay, all right.
You get what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying,
there are some of the things, if you look into the collective agreement, Sweetie, if it is your personal company, you will not do them. Funeral grant. How do government pay 13th month? You see, some of the things they are also demanding. There is no government or company that would document such a demand. It will not happen. So we need to be able to come to a realistic agreement.
Anyway, let's
then
move on, because
people are dying.
That these are
people are dying.
And already agreed. These terms were agreed upon, right? It's not now that we are negotiating.
Why were they not implemented?
If you are a manager,
let me hear him out.
Why were they not implemented at the time they were agreed upon? Because it was not feasible implementing at that moment. So this is a new government, as you and I appreciate. So government is putting things in place. The economy is about to begin to recover. So everyone appreciates that, yes, they have a point, they deserve it. No one is saying that they don't deserve it. But it's a matter of time. That's why the nation is calling on them to return.
See,
to work.
So
All right,
this gives us an
gentlemen,
opportunity to push for proper political policies. I call them political policies. Here. Including, I've seen a document about this research book and research allowance from the tertiary institutions. Since my school days, I have been against this thing. How many of these PhD holders, we are there, they should also publish the papers they are saying that they have done. How many of them indeed go to do research?
Okay.
So let's be real.
The point I'm making, if you hear me out, the point
We
I'm
are
making
pleading.
is
We've been pleading.
These terms are not up for debate at this point because they've been, you know, it has been assented to. If
So I wanted to ask you a question.
You understand
Let's
what I'm
say
saying?
you take over my company as a new manager. You come and the first week in office, all right, HR comes to you and say that the previous manager who left, okay, they left this document for compensation, which has a direct and impactful effect on the budget of the organization.
It's the
Would
same,
you,
it's the
as a
same
manager,
reason why this
immediately
administration
sign
sacked
it?
those over thousands of people that were sacked because they were employed from the erstwhile administration. They didn't have, they said the same narrative, that they didn't have the budget to accommodate that, plus there were some
They need to be able to look at it.
etc. However, you cannot say that you didn't know that these were agreed terms before you came. I mean, there was a transition period.
But you know that there is a difference between leadership and management. And there is a difference between having a responsibility and obligation and authority.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, what is the local
He's
balance?
not denying the fact.
I'm not denying the fact.
He's not denying the fact that government is aware of this.
I'm not arguing. I'm just
But
giving
what
another
we
perspective.
are saying is that, yes, they deserve it.
Yes.
But we think the term is premature.
It's about timelines.
It's about timelines. Exactly. They should be patient.
So the rhetoric should not be, you're the reason why we are here.
No.
That's what I'm saying. I started by saying that the CEO of Fair Wages and
the Fair Wages man made that statement on the back. You see, I was on another platform, one of your sister stations, and they were interviewing the Greater Accra Regional Executive Secretary of this same group. He made a statement trying to blame the government and the employers, all right, for delaying it from the time it was signed. Then the question was posed to him. Was it the government or the employers that took them to court? No.
Gentlemen, let's get into the newspapers. I hope that this pops up again so we can get another round of arguments on this. So I'll start with Daily Graphic newspaper. But
it gives us an opportunity to cancel nurses, teacher trainee allowances. We should discuss that.
Huh? You want to
it should bring, no, after this one, we should come to that way. We cannot spend this amount of money paying you once we are in school.
On the front page of the Daily Graphic, Speaker directs MPs, ministers to regularize offices held for profit. Economy expands by 5.3% in first quarter. Services agric lead recovery. And showcase graphic newspapers reduce airfares. According, Minister appeals to airline operators. And it's a new era for aluminium industry. GIADEC granted 6 mining leases. So the country has taken a significant leap to become a formidable player in the global aluminium market by granting 6 mining leases to the Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation, that's GIADEC, the state-owned entity spearheading this ambitious agenda. I think it's good news. I'll come to you, gentlemen, for your reaction or reflections on that. Let me quickly run through this. Bodies of school children found after South Africa floods. Oh, that's rather sad. Convoy arrives in Libya en route to Gaza to challenge Israel's blockade. So back here in Ghana, let me quickly get to this. They said economy expands by 5.3% in first quarter. Ghana's economy recorded growth of 5.3% year-on-year in the first quarter of this year, marking an acceleration from the 4.9% growth recorded in the same period last year. So there's some good news in terms of the economy. And the Speaker directs MPs, ministers to regularize offices held for profit. The Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has directed all parliamentarians, ministers and deputy ministers currently holding any office for profit or emolument not expressly authorized by law to regularize their positions without delay. And he says that Articles 78, Clause 3 and 98, Clause 2, together with the standing orders, were designed to preserve the constitutional balance between the legislature and the executive, avoid undue influence, and maintain the trust reposed in the members to govern. And one last story, and then I'll come to you. Ofori-Atta is under investigation by Economic Community, IOCO and NIB together. Yesterday, I listened to that interview with Evans Mensah, and Justice Remsai was waxing lyrical about what they're doing. I want to get that story now on myjoyonline.com, and then I'll bring you the details. Right, so I'm here. Former Finance Minister Ofori-Atta is facing deepening legal troubles as both the Economic and Organized Crime Office and National Intelligence Bureau have declared him a wanted man. The two state agencies have reportedly launched separate active investigations into Mr. Ofori-Atta's financial dealings during his tenure as finance minister, signaling an escalation in the scrutiny surrounding his stewardship of the public purse. Let me pause here for a bit. Gentlemen, this is where we are right now. So from recovering, Operation Recover or Loot, I think this falls under that. Aluminium industry, Speaker of Parliament call for members of Parliament, ministers and deputy ministers to regularize their offices held for profits. Where do you want to start from, Mr. Jabab?
Of course, I'll start from
being an MP.
The Speaker.
No, if not, you'll be called to the Privileges Committee.
Let's hear you out.
To regularize, offices of profits holding, we know, as you rightly mentioned it, in Article 78, the Clause 3 of the article requires that as a member of Parliament, as a Minister of State, if you have any office of profit making that brings you profit other than your work you do as a legislature, you declare it, and there's procedure for that. There is a form for you to do that. And you know what? It safeguards you. If this is done, you are safe as a lawmaker or a legislator, so that, you know what? You can read the public mind. Sometimes they accuse you of abuse of power. They abuse you of, some ill-gotten wealth. Probably you made that out of your business, even before your time of politics. So it's in right order. And I think that to us as parliamentarians or MPs is no new, and it's a call in the right direction. And members of Parliament are ready to comply.
Okay. How about the double investigation, joint or, the two investigations by IOCO and National Intelligence Bureau into Ofori-Atta's matter at this point?
Yeah, the double intelligence investigation is, you and I know that Ofori-Atta is being sought for investigations into some alleged, dealings or financial transactions during his tenure as what? Minister of Finance. And the last time it was made was, we were told he is not well. He's traveled out of the country. The OSP gave him an ultimatum for him to return into the country. And that also elapsed. And he has since not appeared. So I am not surprised that at this point, both IOCO and NIB are seeking after him just to come and answer questions. He has not been convicted. No one has accused him yet. But he's only being called to come and answer questions. So if Ofori-Atta appears today and answer questions the way they expect him to answer, then the law takes its own process from there.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jabab. So, Nana Osapong, it's your time now.
I would start from Article 78.
Are you happy that the extradition processes are underway? Or you want to start from at
No, we can start from there. To bring him home, of course, that's our money.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Huh?
It is our money.
Oh, yes.
I mean, we need to, whether or not he is guilty, all right, he needs to come and answer these questions. Because we are talking about monies that myself and you, our taxes were used together. You understand me? And so I do not see why Ghana as a country honored him by making him a minister. Even when it was on record that he wasn't so well, we still gave him an opportunity to serve as a minister. He resigned from his company on the basis of ill health. But yet, he was a minister on that same grounds. And we give him that honor, we give him that opportunity to serve. It is time for him to come and respond to some questions that we are posing. Would we all not be happy that answers are given to the $58 million that was used to dig a hole? Would we not want to hear what went into that? Would we not want to hear how come that some payments were made into to some ambulance maintenance work and all that? Would we not want to hear about all of these monies? But he would also do himself good if he comes to exonerate himself. Because, you see, it is forever going to be on the minds of Ghanaians. And we are going to write about this. Because to some of us, if these questions or the whereabouts of these monies are not found, all right, it means that during his time, probably we would not be wrong to tag him as the worst performing minister ever.
Okay, so
we will not be wrong.
Okay.
Because if all of these monies are not accounted for, he needs to come home. And you see, surprisingly, his lawyers and himself have had the time to respond to social media issues and to letters from the OSP and to the Yoko and other places. But they do not have that same energy to be able to tell him that, Ken, come home. We have very good health facilities here.
Okay, so
how long does it even take?
Okay, our third
How
guest,
long does it take for
our third guest joins
Ofori-Atta?
us via Zoom now, and I want to introduce him so he can get a bite on this matter as well. And Kojo Poku is an energy analyst, and he joins us via Zoom. Kojo, good to see you. So yesterday, I'm fantastic, thank you for asking. Justice Ramsay has confirmed that government has now initiated processes to extradite Mr. Ofori-Atta from abroad, where he is currently, or wherever he is believed to be. And two separate active investigations, Yoko and NIB, are investigating the matter. What's your take on this?
Good morning, and good morning to the co-panelists on your studio and your viewers. I hope everything is well. Yes. I think with this matter, it's much ado about nothing. Look, we have a very robust legal system. We have a very robust investigative system. One thing that everybody watching this program and has been following the Ken Ofori-Atta issue should learn is that a minister cannot commit a crime by himself. If you say that a minister has committed a crime, there should be co-conspirators, there should be collaborators, because if you know how the government works, ministers do not unilaterally take actions. Things are brought to them, they sign, they give instructions, and the instructions are carried out. If everybody followed Ms. Cotton, Abadapi, Kwampepra, and Adams case, when we first used the willfully causing financial loss to the state, you realize that the chief of staff went to jail. Sorry, the chief director went to jail. The minister went to jail, the chief director went to jail. Why was that? The minister could not have carried it out without giving instruction to somebody else to also carry it out. So when you look at the transcript of the case, and some of us, we are not lawyers, but we follow keenly with some of these things. One of the cases that came up was that, yes, instructions were given, but did you also do your own due diligence? So for me, the OSP is just have an obsession with Ken Ofori-Atta, knowing very well that the man can come and refuse to open his mouth. In fact, when you go to court, you don't speak. His lawyers are the ones that speak for him in court. He doesn't have to testify. So all this issue of trying to get him to come, for what? Because in fact, his lawyers don't even have to put up a case. We all know the case of no submission, right? When you go to court and a person does not meet the burden of proof, you have a right not to submit anything and just say that, look, the prosecution has not met its burden of proof, so you submitted no, you don't want to put up any defense. And the court, in some instances, has ruled that there isn't enough on the table for the defense to open his case. So there are two instances.
All right.
He doesn't have to say anything to you. He doesn't have to defend himself. If you think you have enough to go to court, go to court.
Okay.
Charge him.
So, you know, that also came up, Kojo, that also came up last week, asking whether or not to try him in absentia. But something you just said, you said the minister cannot commit a crime by himself. Is that not a good reason why he should come and point out the people if a crime has been committed? As we speak, nobody's saying he's guilty, right? He's supposed to come and answer questions, bring clarity to the matters. Like Kojo, Nanaya Osapon was just saying, we'd like to hear the understanding, the explanation as to where the money that was supposed to build a national cathedral went, for which reason we are seeing a deep hole right now.
Well, there was a chief director. My dear, there was a chief director. The chief director can easily answer any question the minister can answer. And I can assure you that.
But the chief director was not the one who led that. Hold on. The director was not the one who led that project.
No, the chief director is, you see, if you look at the document, you see, anybody that has worked in the ministry will understand what I'm talking about. It's naivety that is killing the OSP. Okay? Look, every document in the ministry, has multiple signatures. Unless you find one document with just one signature from them, it's not possible. Even the letter signed by the minister, it's not drafted by him. It is drafted by various directors, audited by various directors. The chief director has a look at it before it is given to the minister to sign. So where are you? Listen, what I'm saying is that you do not need Ken Ofori-Atta to prosecute Ken Ofori-Atta. If you think there's a crime, go to court and prosecute it, because there should be co-conspirators.
So are you saying that you rather side with the arguments that he should be tried in absentia rather than to extradite him?
But he should be because we should also see the co-conspirators. Where are the co-conspirators? Where are the co-conspirators? Where are the people who collaborated with him to come? Because a crime can only be committed on both sides. There cannot be one person. In such a crime, it can be just, listen, there is a case where we know that somebody used one left hand to sign one part of the letter and used the right hand to sign one part of the letter. We heard about those things in court, okay? But even in that, they were co-conspirators.
Okay,
because after that letter was used, somebody has to transfer the money. So those that transfer the money, the recipient of the money, all those people, have they been charged? Where are the co-conspirators?
Kojo, I will give you the chance to respond, gentlemen. But I think that when a scandal breaks out or something, a crime is committed, purported to be committed, you look for the leader to answer questions, not chase. Just like we're doing with Galamsey, we don't want the people going into the pits because
I love the confidence in which Kojo has been able to speak to try to convince us with practically things that are not. You can't find.
Disagree with
no,
that.
How do you tell me?
He can't commit a crime by himself.
How?
That he's okay if he's tried in absentia. That he should go and look for the co-conspirators.
That a director writes a letter and goes through peer review,
so
it comes and you close your eyes and sign.
He was contradicting himself.
Sweetie, now you're crying holding high offices. Do you think that a secretary will just bring a letter to me and I'll just close my eyes and sign it without reading the content, without understanding what it is? A finance minister, for that matter? Please.
In charge of the national, the entire.
Would Kojo run his company this way? Why are we trying to play politics with this? And please, it does not happen in the ministry. Some of us have had the opportunity. Please, Kojo, you had a bite, please. Some of us have had the opportunity to at least see how works are done at the ministry. This is a blatant lie.
Okay, so your point is that everything he said is a lie. But he does have a point when he says that the minister could not have committed a crime by himself.
Number one. This cathedral thing. You are aware it went through the presidency and some of these documents went through all that line and other things. Does the chief director go to sit at cabinet to defend these documents? All
right, so that's your rebuttal. It's okay. Let me listen to Mr. Jabab now. Please. So what are you saying?
You see,
is contradicting himself?
You see what I'm saying is contradicting himself. Kodo made reference to prosecutions of Dana Budakbe, Kwame Pepra, and he even said that the chief director was also convicted. Didn't he say that? Now, upon assumption of office by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and NDC, Nana Dankwa came out publicly to all his appointees that they should all stay in the country and answer questions. No one should run away. And this is the case. This is the case. Ken Ofori-Atta and Nanado. Everyone knows when you mention them. Their relationship. Now, this man was given, you say you were not well. Well, OSP said fine. Have time, like, treat yourself. Just appear to answer questions. Those questions are not answered. And back to Kodio's point again. You think these big scandals that we mentioned, even the National Cathedral issue alone, you need the chief director who doesn't attend cabinet meetings to go and sit down and answer what?
This is the point where
when the minister himself is alive, he's not dead.
Okay, but Mr. Jabba, this is the point where those who disagree with you or opposition may have an argument over you. When you say just answer questions, they offered to have a video conferencing to answer questions, and you rejected that.
No, it doesn't require that.
To answer questions, why did you reject the application to have...
I wanted him to have substantiated to the fact that, or to those who are calling for trial in absentia. He's dodging that fact too. He doesn't want to respond. It should come out clear for us to know where Kojo is standing.
I'll come back to you in a bit, Kojo.
Just a quick one. You see, when I started, I said that there is a difference between having a responsibility and obligation and having the authority. The chief director is the spending officer of the ministry. But the chief director cannot spend without the authorization of the minister. Now, but you come to tell me that...
All right. So, Kojo, these are the rebuttals. Final, give me a final wrap, and then we move on to another story. I think Kojo is muted. Okay,
see, I'm not trying to convince anyone. This is the point I'm making. You said that if somebody writes a letter and you close your eyes and sign it, a home minister, you cannot do that. Let's assume that he did, but somebody wrote the letter. So if you want to try the person who signed the letter,
you should try the person who wrote the letter.
Would you also try the person who wrote the letter? No, I'm just saying, the point I'm making about conspirators and collaborators is that if somebody wrote a letter and somebody signed, there are two people. So let's assume that the person who signed did not read, but somebody originated the letter. So the point I'm making is that you are fixated on one person who was a minister. The point I'm making is that you have to now have conspirators and collaborators in such a scheme.
And with that, how do you get those conspirators and collaborators?
Mr. Abuchi, they rightfully said that there was cabinet approval, and the chief doesn't sit in cabinet. So there were members of cabinet. There were documents from cabinet. There were people at the ministry who would have basically interrogated these things.
That's a very good point. So how then do you respond to the question of do we not need a leader to answer these pertinent questions?
He doesn't have to. You see,
he's the leader, Kojo. He's the one. He's the one at the helm of these issues. Yeah.
If you do not understand the case you are investigating, the onus is on you. He doesn't have to offer any explanation.
So answer this question, yes or no. Are you in agreement that he should be tried in absentia?
Yes, 100%. If there are any charges, he should be tried in absentia.
All right.
If there are charges, but I bet there's nothing. If he can be charged, he'll be charged. You don't need to do this, come home and this. Look, listen, if he can be charged and tried, he should be charged and tried in absentia. If there is any charges.
In a related matter, 2 days ago, the Office of the Special Prosecutor and National Security raided the offices of SML and Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited. 3 of their directors were picked up, equipment, metering, infrastructure, and all those were destroyed. Some were destroyed. I want to pick your mind on this. Have you followed that story?
Again, another example of much ado about
some of the
nothing.
reasons why we are looking for Ken Ofori-Atta.
Well, what I'm saying to you is that exactly. So let's give that a bite, okay? You are now going after SML. Now, in the SML investigation, let's say that Ken Ofori-Atta is a conspirator in the SML investigation. The point I'm making to you is that no criminal act can be committed by a minister by his own. So let's assume that you think that Ken Ofori-Atta and SML has done something. You investigate SML. If you now find out and get information, witness statements from the SML directors and all these people that implicates Ken Ofori-Atta, then you go to court, charge Ken Ofori-Atta with the SML directors, then try them. We have done similar with the Maslock lady, right? The Maslock lady was in absentia. She was tried in absentia and convicted in absentia. But let me say this. There is a difference between...
Did that trial start in absentia?
Well, it doesn't matter, but it was done because she wasn't... There's the court... Hold on.
It flaws your argument.
Yes,
it did not start in absentia. It flaws your argument.
It did. The trial started in absentia, but when it started, she was called into the investigation. But when the trial started, it was in absentia because there are cases where, there are reports where the judge has issued a threat that if she doesn't come to court, the trial will be done in absentia. So the trial itself started in absentia. Now, let me make this quick point. SML. You might not agree with the act of SML. Kojopoku says that GRA did not need SML to increase their revenue. GRA could have worked with MPA to basically put measures in place to increase their revenue. But SML went through a proper proposal review, proper proposal approval, and they went and did their work.
You know that the KPMG audits or investigation findings said there were procurement missteps, government lapses,
yes,
partial service delivery,
procurement missteps are not a crime.
Quantified gains, but lack of value for money.
Procurement missteps are not a crime on the person who applied. Procurement missteps are on the side of government that approved. So you go and arrest GRA. If I apply to something and there are procurement missteps, it is not for you to come and arrest me, Kojopoku. Hold on. If I apply to GRA to get something and there are procurement missteps on the part of GRA, why do you come and arrest me? Why don't you go and arrest GRA?
You literally just said that SML used the right processes, sent a proposal and all that.
Yes.
And I'm pointing out to you that
but on the side, I am
independent investigation.
Ms. Abuchi, I'm a businessman. I'm telling you that I sent a proposal. The proposal is reviewed on the other side. I am given approval to go and do work. If somebody finds that there were procurement missteps, it's not from me. Kojopoku, the SML people, private company, have done nothing wrong. You go after the procurement misstep on the government side.
Is it possible that the arguments you were making in the... Hold on. Let's have a conversation. Is it possible that the arguments you were making that we should look for the co-conspirators before we look for the leader? This is what the OSP is doing by going to find more information for themselves, entering SML buildings, and the same reason why they still need the minister to come back, the former minister to come back and answer. In fact, hold on, let me put that to my guest. Hold on, I'll come back to you. So, Nana Sapong and Mr. Jabal, he's saying that there were co-conspirators in all these other cases that Ken Ofori-Atta is being a wanted man for. And so you should go and find those who are culpable before you look for the leader. Is that what we are doing with SML?
Who was responsible for taking the decision? And if you own a company and you have a manager who is the final decision maker of the organization and he takes wrong decisions, do you sack or close down the company or you fire the decision maker? Let us be practical when we are making some of these arguments. SML, the issue came up. You are talking about mislaps in procurement. Number one, there's a KPMG report that speaks clearly to it. All right? Sweetie, if I go to steal this phone and you know it's a stolen phone and you buy, do you think that the laws will let you go?
Ignorance of the law is no.
It's no excuse. If you read the report of KPMG, it would give you that understanding that they themselves, as a company, did understand or get to know that there were a lot of mislaps in the procurement processes. And so if today we are calling Ken to come and respond, and they are also taking steps to investigate SML, are they not doing the right thing?
Okay.
Are they letting SML and their directors go off the hook? No. They are here.
But he's
investigations
one before the other.
One before what?
He's saying the small, not small ones, the co-conspirators, the people who were actually
the person
involved
who
in
took the decision.
Before he gets to the leadership.
The person who was responsible and giving directives. The person who was responsible for the policy. The person who was responsible for signing or giving authorization for signing is there. He ought to be able to come and respond. Listen, I'll give you an example. Napo, Matthew Opoku Prempeh. He's been investigated on this mathematical assets. Yeah. I think from his own mouth, okay, his own testimony, when this Wontumi issue came up, he said that he has been to Yoko, or so is it the NIB, a couple of times to go and respond. He said that there are some of the issues he remembers. There are others he does not remember. So he has given them directive as to how they can get their information and if they have any other means to get it.
Luckily
that
for
is
us,
all
we have
seeking.
someone from the OSP who will be speaking to us now. I'm not sure if he's on now.
We are saying that,
you get to him. But
we are saying that Ken, as the head of our Ministry of Finance, who took decisions and gave directives and gave authorizations for decisions to be taken, should come and answer questions.
All right.
Simple.
All right. Points made. Mr. Jabab, Kojo Poku is saying that don't look for the leader immediately. There are so many other avenues to get information to feed your investigation, right, before you start looking for the leader. Nana Osapon is saying that it seems it's happening concurrently. They're looking for the leader. They're going to find more information from the people that they believe have the information for them in the investigations that they're carrying out. What do you say to that?
You know why Kojo Poku is saying this?
Why?
Chinua Achebe said, when dry bones are mentioned, all ladies feel uneasy. I think he used the word conspirators of Ken Ofori-Atta. I think Kojo Poku is one of the conspirators. Otherwise, he will not be so much bothered.
You cannot, well, he's here. So
no, I think. Are you understanding? Otherwise,
please, this is national television. Please, let's not go
down that. Yeah, I just said you are here, so I'll give you the chance to respond.
This is an undefensive point that Kojo Poku is coming from.
Please let him withdraw.
Okay, I'm sorry, you cannot say that. He's here. He says that he's not a conspirator.
He's a conspirator. He's a conspirator of Ofori-Atta. And I don't know who are the conspirators. And I think probably he's one of the conspirators of.
But he doesn't work with Minister of Finance.
As a legislator, you know that.
You can make that statement.
I withdraw.
Kojo, I'm with you on this one.
So what I wanted to say is that he couldn't have said that the conspirators should rather go and answer issues or questions when the man who takes decisions as the Minister of Finance, the whole Minister of Finance, you don't think that man is invited to come and answer questions at Yoko and IAB. That is essential, that is important, and you think that his so-called conspirators should go and answer his questions on his behalf. Man, why is this head off?
He was the person holding our...
Please, I'm listening to Mr.
So I think that is below belt. Ken Ofori-Atta must appear to answer questions. When you pose a question of Madam said in the Temakulis issue, in the Maslow case to him, he said, oh, the woman appeared, but during trial, it was in absentia. Has Ken Ofori-Atta ever appeared? That's a question. Since Yoko has started inviting him, Ken Ofori-Atta, we need you this time, it has been postponement of date upon date up to now. So this joint investigation body looking Ken Ofori-Atta is in the right direction. No one has accused. They say, come and answer questions. We found some irregularities during your tenure as Minister of Finance. ABC, come and answer. If you answer and the law thinks that you are right, nobody has the right to accuse you.
Okay.
So what is wrong about that?
We have Sami Dako online now. He is Director of Strategy and Research, Office of the Special Prosecutor. So welcome to the program. I know you've been listening to us and you have some response as well. Let's hear you out first and then we can probe the issues. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So that it doesn't appear that every time we have to come back and clarify, but the clarity has to do with something you yourself have said as a journalist in your conversation. You said that OSP went to SML, raided SML, and destroyed things. Please, were you there when OSP went to SML?
I saw photos in the Daily Graphic yesterday, right here, when I saw photos of some of the wiring that had been destroyed. And I read the articles. Yesterday, I even listened to Dr. Sapong, who is the director.
Destroyed.
Say again?
You're still using the word destroyed. The fact that you see a wiring does not mean that things
All right, so I stand
destroyed.
corrected. Exactly what happened to the infrastructure there?
All right, so what I will talk about it, but what is important for us as media people is that we have to be careful what we tell people, because you could have simply also said that allegedly things have been destroyed.
But I saw, what are you talking about, Mr. Dako?
What you saw is not what could be the case. So if you see something as a journalist, it doesn't mean that you have witnessed it. So first of all, I'm just helping you with language that you should be able to see allegedly destroyed.
So, Mr. Dako,
that you create
I hear you clearly. I hear you clearly that it was not destroyed. Hold on. Let's have a conversation. You said it was not destroyed. I saw that some wiring, and mind you, I have been to that office. I have seen how, I've been to the office in Tema. I have seen for myself how the things operate. I have seen the wiring and all that. So the photos I saw yesterday in the Daily Graphic is not what I saw over there. So when you say it was not destroyed, exactly what happened to those infrastructure?
Again, let me help with the situation. As a journalist and as a former journalist...
As a journalist, I'm telling you that I stand corrected. You're not giving me the other word for it. If it was not destroyed, what happened?
When you are talking... As a journalist, when you are speaking about something that you've not witnessed yourself, it's important that you use the word alleged. OSP went to SML on a warrant.
So after a newspaper has reported on this, and we've seen photos that the wirings have been torn from the actual compartments or wherever they were, I shouldn't use the word destroy. And I'm asking you, what happened? You want to remain on the fact that I'm a journalist. I'm asking you to correct me. If it was not destroyed, what happened to it? That's all. And then we can move forward with more clarity.
And then this is what I'm doing that you are interfering. I said that for journalists, you have to use the word alleged. But OSP went to SML on a warrant from a court to search.
Yes, absolutely. No one has disputed that. So I'm saying that...
I'm making a point. Will you let me make...
Hold on, Nana Sapong, let me moderate this. No, hold on. No, hold on. Please mute Nana Sapong. Go ahead, Mr. Dako.
All right. So OSP went to SML premises with a search warrant.
Yes.
Now, we went to SML premises for specific things. Mm-hmm. Now, when a search is being conducted and we need to take some documents back to the offices, those documents we will take back because that is why we were there. Now, in taking back things to the office, things have to be disconnected. So if you see wiring and all that, it means that those things were disconnected. Now, when we do a search and we are doing these things, there's something we call seizure notices, where SML signed on everything that we took from their premises. In fact, SML IT staff were the ones who disconnected these things. Because why we are there is to be able to take particular things that we are investigating. So that is what we did. It does not mean that when you see wiring lying around, of course, the wirings were connected to certain things. And because we have taken those things away, you will not see those things there. It does not mean that we have destroyed things there. Also, there have been news of some directors pick up and all that. Some of these directors that were picked up are not even people we are investigating. Some of them were picked up purely for what we call obstruction of justice. So when the law enforcement comes to your premises with a warrant from a court and you try not to allow them to do their work, you'll be causing an offense called obstruction of justice. So some of them were picked up purely for obstruction of justice. Then on another scale, we have talked about this trial in absentia, and what I want to say about these things is that it's important that we understand that trial in absentia only happens after the plea of an accused has been taken in court. An accused then decides not to show up in court again, or the accused, based on his rowdy behavior, is excused from attending to court. So when I hear every day, if you have a case, go to court and try him, I'm asking myself, why are we rushing with the pre-trial investigation stages? Because right now we are at the pre-trial investigation stages. So where does this trial in absentia comes about? Are we saying that now everybody who police wants to investigate, a person will say, if you have any case against me, go to court and file it, and maybe I'll come or I'll not come? No. Trial in absentia should be understood that it only happens after a person has been charged. He becomes an accused person, and then his plea is taken. After that, trial in absentia can happen, whether he comes or not. Just like Madame said, she had been charged, her plea had been taken, and then subsequently she had bail and didn't show up. Then trial in absentia will kick in. So people have to understand, when we are talking about trial in absentia, we are not there yet. We are still at the pre-investigative stages. And at the pre-investigative stages, there are so many things law enforcement may need somebody to come and do. Not necessarily to take a statement from the person, because we know that a person can even decide not to say anything. But even if he won't say anything, he still needs to say, I won't say anything, even on a paper. I'm just saying if that is even what the person wants to do. But there are several things that are done at the pre-trial stages. And then finally, when we are investigating someone, there are so many people who are also being investigated. So the fact that one person's name is mentioned does not also mean that other people are not being investigated in connection with that case. So that if there's a talk, why is it that only Ken Ofori-Atta? Ken Ofori-Atta matter wouldn't have even come to the public domain if he had honored the invitation earlier. Nothing like that would have even been known by the public. The time we would have known would be maybe the time that charges have been filed. But it's because of this inability to cooperate with law enforcement. That's why this matter has escalated to the level that we now need international support to enforce its attendance before the law enforcement agency. This is the short input I wanted to make.
Thank you so much. Just one last, more clarity on this issue. I listened to Dr. Sapong yesterday on Newsnight, and she said that they were willing to give you every information that you requested. So really, there was no need for you to have come in there. And I'm paraphrasing here, not verbatim. Exactly what were you looking for that SML couldn't have provided, either in, electronic form, papers, I don't know, that you had to go and disconnect, like you said, their metering system or infrastructure, whatever it was that you did.
There is no metering system that we even disconnected. So SML makes some accusations which doesn't even sit well. First of all, I heard them say that we should have given them notice before coming there. And I was asking myself, when police is coming to, say, look for an armed robber, will he give the person a notice?
Yeah.
It's not done. That's why we call it searches. That's why for such searches, warrant is obtained ex parte, because you are not supposed to know that we are coming to your facility. It's based on intelligence. That's why we come to your facility. Secondly, if SML says they've been very cooperative, that is also inaccurate. Because if they've been very cooperative, then the law enforcement will not need to come physically to your offices to get exactly the documentation that they need. So if you see a law enforcement agency go to your premises, it means that there are things there that they don't have access to, that they need access to. That may be why a law enforcement agency goes to such a premise. So this whole argument that we should have given them prior notice before we come and do our search is neither here nor there, because it doesn't even happen in theory, let alone in practice. There's this element of surprise that has to come to you. Other than that, then if we had notified you, then you could pick out things that we may need. Secondly, even when we were on their premises, I don't have to disclose much, but I have to say this. They refused to give access to password to certain things, even with a lawful order. So once you refuse such things, then in essence, you are trying to say that you don't want to cooperate. I want to say here that the OSP is a very law-abiding law enforcement agency that is very transparent. and very professional. And even with whatever we did at SML, everything was filmed. And that is why I'm telling you that SML officers, their head of IT, whoever we took documents from, you are given what we call seizure forms, where every item we took, even if it is a wall clock, is listed. Then your officers and our officers will go through and check them one by one before your officers will sign and we will sign. And then a duplicate copy is then given to you. Ask SML whether they don't have a duplicate copy of everything that the OSP has been able to seize from their premises. They do have it. So this was a very lawful exercise conducted in a very humane manner, in a very fair, transparent manner, where they were allowed to see whatever was going on. They were told why we were there and exactly what we were looking for. But to come back and say OSP has destroyed, of course, if you have a computer and say we have to take the computer away, of course the socket and the rest will be there. But when you see a socket, it does not mean that OSP has destroyed your computer, because your computer is intact with the OSP. If there is a door and you are supposed to open the door and you refuse to open the door, of course, law enforcement agency will use minimal order to be able to have access to that door, because they have a lawful permission to enter that premises and search for what they are searching for.
All right. Mr. Daku, thank you. So all this is in the pre-trial stage, like you said, right? We have not gotten to all this. I mean, investigating SML and all that is all part of the pre-trial stage of Ken Ofori-Atta, GRA, all those, right? Pre-trial stage. I just want confirmation.
Well, it can even be that SML is not just Ken Ofori-Atta. There are so many things that we are investigating.
Okay, so what's the charge, or what's the subject of the investigation into SML? Is there a charge yet, or what is the subject of it? Can you tell us that?
We are investigating. There is nothing more that we can disclose at this stage. When investigations are done, as the law has mandated the Office of the Special Prosecutor, we are supposed to update the public, let them know what has happened.
True.
And even with this update, some people think that it means that the OSC is talking too much, but it's not so. The law allows us to update the public.
Oh, I mean, this is helpful. So we all follow, and understand. You did come, I mean, this administration did come into power on the back of transparency. So this is not you talking too much. I just want to know, we know the issues that have surrounded SML, the KPMG report. We know all that. I'm just curious as to exactly what the subject of this new investigation or this, now I can't even call it a raid, it's a search. You say a search, a lawful search, you said. So what is the subject of it? Just in a sentence or, a phrase. What is the subject of that search?
That's why I just told you that at this stage we can't give you...
You can't tell us the subject of the search.
The subject of the search. No, we can also... We are looking for certain electronic documentation.
Is it in connection with the SML GRA case that you're looking for Ken Ofori-Atta for?
Yes, the OSP has listed that it is investigating the SML contract as well as the revenue assurances that had been put out. So that is the subject of the investigation, the SML contract and revenue assurances. And I'm saying that it does not mean that it's only Ken Ofori-Atta who is being investigated. There are multiple people involved in this investigation. The fact that you have not seen their names out there does not mean that others is not a broader investigation. It is a broader investigation. I'm saying that the only reason why Mr. Ofori-Atta's name has come up is because he has not been cooperative with law enforcement agency. And law enforcement agency is using legitimate means to ensure his attendance before the OSP.
Mr. Samuel Apia Daku, thank you for spending some time with us this morning. He is a Director of Strategy, Research and Communication Division of Office of the Special Prosecutor. Gentlemen, so we've got our clarity now. So they said they disconnected their some parts of their system because they were looking for information.
I just noticed he's in charge of
distraction of anything.
Strategy and Communication Division.
Yeah.
So if you have sat down as a head of communication and allowed pictures and videos to circulate to depict the fact that, or the narrative that things were destroyed, sat down over how many days now?
Or just 2 days.
And it's become a subject for discussion. When you have the opportunity, you do not come to correct English. You use that opportunity to do the work you should have done days ago, which you didn't do. That is what you do. Now, if I am here, I wasn't at SML, and I see pictures and videos. I am not an electrician. So when I see wires hanging, what I know is that you have taken what you have taken, but turns have been destroyed.
I've just been told that I have to wrap up in 2 or 3 minutes.
When they are given positions to handle, they should be able to deal with matters on time.
All right.
Real-time matters.
I want to come back to you, but let me check with Kojo Poku on Zoom, and then I'll come back to you to wrap up. So Kojo Poku, did we lose Kojo Poku? Do we have Kojo Poku online? All right, Mr. Jabab, go ahead.
On the SML,
I'll come back to you. Yeah.
Listen, I think what the director said, the worry is that, both you and I, we don't work at SML. Like you said, you have the opportunity visiting them the other time. And when you went, the state in which you saw the alignment of gadgets and whatnot, probably the pictures you saw later post a different image. So it will draw your attention to make a conclusion. And if you made that conclusion, you are right. So, like Nana put it, what he was supposed to have been doing now is rather taking us back, the state. So I think that not all of us understood what actually went on there. Probably, he said they did that in line with their work. They wanted some information. That's why as a law enforcement agency, they did that, just to ascertain or get that information.
All right.
But the work he should have done is to let the public understand this, rather than taking us back to his office of a special prosecutor.
Thank you.
When most of us are not there. Thank you.
Of course, the pre-trial...
So, he's saying that the man was, Samidako was saying that this is all pre-trial stage, which means that there are so many other entities that are being investigated, but their names are not thrown out. It's just that we know of Ken Ofori-Atta. So that point we're making as to whether or not we can focus on the co-conspirators or whoever else is involved before we look for the leader. I think they're doing everything concurrently according to the law. And so we cannot start talking about trial in absentia as at this time yet. And then you can briefly touch on SML and we're going to pop off.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So he goes on to rebuff my point that there should be conspirators and collaborators. And the point that he made, which is very clear, is that when you were making your submission, you should have just used the word alleged, which is the right thing to do, because since nobody is there, if we are reporting some of these things, we just use alleged.
That's why we have cameras and that's why we have pictures and videos.
Well, most of these reportages are not true. And for my brother to say that, oh, they sat down. Do somebody sit down for pictures to be leaked to the media? Pictures are taken by everybody with a camera is a reporter these days. So how does he use it that he sat there? What did he do? Are you saying that it was the OSP that released those pictures? It was other people in the offices that released those pictures. But to my point, I'm happy that my brother withdrew that statement he made, because for me it was very unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yes, because you cannot say a gentleman like me who has never in the last 8 years done any government contract, okay, was not part of the Nanado's administration, you call him a co-conspirator. I'm a very well-to-do businessman who just wants to be president of this country one day.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. So, gentlemen, it's rather sad. I thought we would have so much time and get into the papers. But
so let
me just wrap up some quick headlines.
He has never heard any government office.
Massive rot at GES as OSP uncovers widespread fake schools and appointments. Yes, I was reading that story this morning. Napo is under investigation for mathematical sets, procurement, and other issues. So Deputy Attorney General Sremsai has also revealed that. And the New Republic says AGI's James Bond's loot. I don't know what that is. There's just headlines.
This one it's key. $300,000 equipment for Shraj goes to waste.
All right, that's all that time will allow. I'm sorry.
Services.
Yeah. So those who joined us for the conversation this morning, we had Mr. Jabab Kofi Nelson, he's Member of Parliament for Krachi East. Nanaya Sapon is from the Movement for Change, and Kojo Poku is an energy analyst. And we also spoke to Mr. Sami Dako. He is the Director for Research Strategy and Communication Division of the Office of the Special Prosecutor.